program that was boring, but not too boring to not keep watching for like 12 years. Not the greatest show, not my favorite show. I loved Fonzie, I identified with Fonzie. For some reason, I wanted Fonzie's haircut, and I remember asking if I could get Fonzie's haircut. No one had the heart to tell me. If you remember, Fonzie had a slicked back greaser haircut from the faux 1950s. And, to this day, I have not achieved the Fonzie haircut. One day, though. One day. Hello, everybody. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. You're watching the Aristotle Full Throttle program across all the platforms. It's quite amazing what technology can do these days. You are watching me. I can't see you, but that's fine. You should put pants on. That's all I'm saying. I'm just kidding. Who cares about pants? This show is 5 days a week. Check this out. Monday through Friday. And we talk about movies. And today, particularly, we are talking about film composers who are also rock musicians, who are also famous rock and rollers, or musicians of the sort. Popular musicians who are also film composers, like Stuart Copeland, the drummer for the Police. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that. Hey, Judy, how are you? Welcome to the Aristotle Full Throttle program. I just want to put the message out there. If you are tuning in right now, just go ahead and like the things, tap the screen, give hearts, whatever platform you're watching on, and whatever reward system it's based on. I would appreciate if you participated in that. Thank you. Because that helps boost the show. It boosts the ratings, as it were. There's no such thing as ratings these days, just streams, I guess. I'm very excited, guys. I've got some really fun and exciting news. I talked to a friend of mine, Greg Benson. He's a very popular influencer, if you will. He's got a channel called Mediocre Films on Twitch, and I highly recommend you check it out, particularly this Tuesday at 8 p.m. because I'm going to be a guest on that show, and I'm very excited. I'm so excited. It might be the coffee. It might just be the excitement in my heart. All right, I'll quit hamming it up and let's just get down to business. You might notice I'm not wearing a jacket today. I figured I'd switch up the format. It's July 2nd, 2020. It's hot out. I live in Southern California where it's hot out, and it can get hot in, so I will not wear a jacket today. Because you know what? This shirt, it demonstrates how I've got, I don't know, I think it's thematically related because it's got keys on it. How am I sounding? Hey, Killeen. We're going to get into it. Talking about film composers who rock. Guys, check this out. There are rock musicians who have made the transition from being a rock and roll star, like Danny Elfman from Oingo Boingo. Went on to do like Beetlejuice and Batman and all those fun B movies. Not B-level movies, just starting with the letter B. Come on. They're excellent. They're A movies. Oh, we gonna get to Trent Reznor, Killeen. We gonna get to Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, a.k.a. Nine Inch Nails, a.k.a. N.I.N. I'm a big fan of that group. One of the cool things about that group I find fascinating is that Nine Inch Nails was always notoriously or famously a single band. What's up, Veronica? Guys, I had a very important announcement at the beginning of the show, and if you missed it, just go back to the beginning. I'll mention it again at some point. But if you are watching on Facebook, if you are watching on anything, if you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching at all, do the tap of the screen, do the like, do the thumbs up, do the things to help boost the shows on whatever platform you're watching, because I appreciate that. Today we're talking about famous film composers who are also rock and rollers. Hans Zimmer, you guys might not have known. Hans Zimmer, very famous for the Bois. For the Bois. He's also famous for his like electronica and banjo music. John Murphy. V is here. Fred Durst. Listen, Khalid, I do not remember when Fred Durst, famously of the band Limp Bizkit, I did not know that he attempted to do film composition. The guy, he's one of those guys whose like eyes are bigger than his stomach, you know what I mean? He tries to bite off more than he could chew. You try to lead him to water and you can't make him drink. It's always greener on the other side because he's got a silver lining. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, mostly I think it's important that we all understand that Fred Durst is the worst. And Wes Borland, his guitar player for Limp Bizkit, is the best. He's actually really talented. He's the guy who's like, everyone else in the band Limp Bizkit is highly talented. And lots of bands, it's important for them to have a charismatic singer. Because everyone is so talented, and so maybe they themselves may not be charismatic enough like a Keith Richards, like a Eddie Van Halen, like there's lots of bands where you know the guitar player more than you know, or the bass player, like Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You almost know them as much as the singer because they are charismatic and they help carry off the group. But a band like Limp Bizkit, you had Wes Borland play guitar and he would do like some weird like contacts and make him paint himself blue, which was really fun to look at. I actually met Wes Borland. He was nice. But Fred Durst is just like the guy that they had to, he was the chosen one for that band, which was sad. I think they were like, I guess we gotta go with this guy. I guess we have to go with this backwards baseball cap guy. Fred Durst. Man, he's the worst. He's like the Vanilla Ice of rap metal. Like, there's got to be a Vanilla Ice every 5 years or so. Even Vanilla Ice has now become the next Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice himself, like a chump, yes, like a chump. Like a chump, hey, like a chump. Vanilla Ice, hey, what's up, Shy? Welcome. Did you hear about this, guys? Vanilla Ice is going to play a concert in Houston because he's that much of a douchebag. His douchebag has no limits. His douchebag is bottomless. Vanilla Ice is like, why don't I go to one of the coronavirus hotspots, Houston, Texas, and why don't I just go there and become, like, maintain my status as a complete douchebag and bring the people together to catch a virus. Vanilla Ice himself is a virus. I hope he never composed. I hope he decomposes soon. Jonny Greenwood, Radiohead, very fun. Hey, Angie, welcome on YouTube. You can call me Ari, just don't call me an a-hole. That's one of my favorites. Just don't call me late for dinner. Guys, I know every, like, name retort. I'm tired at this point. I'm very tired. I'm tired of the name retorts. It's okay. I've had many years to inform people on how to say my name. But yes, you may call me Ari. Everybody, I prefer it, actually. Makes me feel like you know me. Makes me feel familiarized. Yeah, so I've got the chat going over here on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Periscope. Remember Periscope, ladies and gentlemen? Refueling. I'm very excited to talk about this topic because I love how film and music come together. In my mind, film and music are like the same thing. Pictures and sounds synthesize to create an emotion. I feel like music is pure emotion, and we also can get a pure, genuine reaction from looking at moving picture shows. Just one photo from the next photo. The soundtrack can influence how we're feeling about what we're looking at. Like if you play like clown music to a crocodile walking, you'd be like, haha, that's a funny crocodile. He must go be in the circus. But if you play like sinister, dark music while a crocodile's walking, you're like, uh-oh, I need to run away from this crocodile. That's a very basic and a very basic explanation for how film music works. What's up, Vasily Commandant? Thank you for watching. Yo, Shy, LMFAO. That's hilarious. LMFAO. Thank you. That was my former group. You know, it's funny. When I first moved to LA about 8 years ago, I'd walk down the street and some people would be like, LMFAO! They'd yell that at me. But you know what? I hope when LMFAO is walking down the street, people will yell out, Aristotle Full Throttle! I just hope that happens. Like, I'm just praying for that day. Help me with your name retort. How should I respond when people ask if I'm shy? Oh my god, that must happen all the time, Shy. Shy? Are you shy? You know, everybody likes to feel creative. Everyone likes to feel like they're the first to come up with something. So Shy, if you get annoyed with some people, just be like, oh, that's a new one. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. The struggle is real. Actually, I just have more fun with it now. I feel like it most bothered me maybe in 8th grade. When I was a kid, it was like irksome. But getting back to Vanilla Ice being... I don't know how a show about composers who rock turned into a discussion about how much of a douchebag Vanilla Ice is, but, you know, sometimes it happens that way. We didn't have coronavirus in the 90s, Vanilla Ice said. It was like, yeah, we didn't have what we have now back then. Now, we have things that we didn't have. I mean, come on now. I'm just going to say that we do have flying cars right now. I'm going to tell... That reminds me, and Judy remembers this. Judy was present for this. My brother and I and Judy got into a very heated discussion about Back to the Future 2. About whether or not it was a reasonable assumption or prediction in 1985 that in 2015 there would be flying cars. My brother was very upset about this concept. He was very angry and upset at the filmmakers for being so outlandish, for making such a wild prediction about the future. And I was like, and my retort to my brother was, yo, bro, it's a movie. And he was like, they should have known that there would be no flying cars in 2015. I'm like, it was 1985. They wanted to end the movie in a dazzling way. So they made spoiler alert, at the end of Back to the Future, the DeLorean comes back from the future. You guys have all seen the damn movie. I don't have to describe it. So the DeLorean lifts up and flies away. I don't know why I feel compelled to describe every movie to you. You've seen Back to the Future. But my brother just thought this was insane. Brian Eno, the good one, Killian. That's, I'm going to randomly call out the names that you guys are dropping in these comments. Trent Reznor, Brian Eno, incredible composers, musicians, experimental, electronic experimental, instrumental experimental. I like that rhymes. But my brother was so angry. He was like, that was just a dumb idea. They shouldn't have predicted that there would be flying cars in 2015. I could have told you that. And I'm like, well, how would you know? Could you have told us about the internet and iPhones also? Because you would have been a prophet back in the 1980s. And he's like, well, you can tell the technology was trending toward that, and you can make that prediction, but flying cars, come on. That's ridiculous. And he got so angry. I don't know how he got so angry. Hey, Mom, I'm just talking about Ricky, my brother. It's a family affair. There's lots of people here today, so this is going to be a fun one. Talking about film composers, but tangenting on how my brother was so angry that they had... He's like, name another movie from the 80s that made a prediction that there would be flying cars. And I was like, Blade Runner? And he's like, okay, fine. When does that take place? And I'm like, 2019? He's like, but that's ridiculous. So he just got very angry and heated about the fact that that Back to the Future had predicted flying cars for 2015, and I just was like, dude, it's a movie. Just go with it. Sometimes you don't know what's going to happen in the future, so just be prepared. Just be prepared to get a hover conversion for your car, Goldie Wilson III. Hey, Jake A., welcome to the show. Goldie Wilson for president, by the way. Today we're talking about lots of film composers that are also awesome rock musicians, like Trent Reznor. I've seen Trent Reznor pop up a few times here. He composed my mom's favorite movie, Gone Girl. I'm just kidding. My mom hates the end of Gone Girl, but I like the end of Gone Girl. If you guys remember, Trent Reznor has a long-standing history with the filmmaker David Fincher. David Fincher and Trent Reznor go in the Wayback Machine to before Flying Cars, when they were in the 90s together, doing all kinds of music videos. If you remember the Closer video, that was actually Mark Romanek directed that video. But there are other videos by Nine Inch Nails that David Fincher directed. David Fincher went on to become a feature filmmaker. Some incredible films that we know that are legendary from that guy. Seven. That's a good one. I like Gone Girl. I like The Social Network. Social Network is what I do believe Trent Reznor won the Oscar for that with Atticus Ross. I was talking about this earlier. Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails is one of my favorite things because Trent Reznor was a solo act as Nine Inch Nails for years and years and years and years. And Trent Reznor teamed up with Atticus Ross to do soundtracks for David Fincher movies. And then added Atticus Ross to Nine Inch Nails as a co-creator, as one of the official members. So then now there are two official members for Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. They share the title Nine Inch Nails together now, after Trent Reznor was Nine Inch Nails for about 25 years. So I've never seen a solo act go to a duo like that. It's pretty neat. Yeah, the Social Network soundtrack is incredible, especially that the dun 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 with the Winklevoss twins rowing the boat, and then it just starts to fall apart, starts to break apart. Hey Tatiana, welcome. Hey Jake A. I bet there's an alternate timeline where there is no internet but flying cars. Jake A. I think that alternate timeline exists in Blade Runner 2049. Tatiana also hates Gone Girl, Mom. So you've got a fan there. I like the ending because David Fincher does not like the Hollywood ending. David Fincher movies do not end with a Hollywood ending. They end with oh man, I'm gonna feel bad for a day and a half after watching this movie. I'm gonna have a sinking feeling. And spoiler alert for Gone Girl, I enjoyed the ending of that movie because I liked that the first half of the movie, or the first third of the movie, we're really hating Ben Affleck's character. We're really getting to hate him. And then we flip. We see that everything that we've been shown has been sort of this one side of the story, framing it against Ben Affleck's character. And then the middle third is now his wife is like, now we hate her for what she has done to Ben Affleck. And in the final third of the movie, we're like, wow, they're both in this like locked power struggle. Now they have to maintain this facade forever because both of them have so much, they're just like locked in a stalemate. It's an impasse. And then now they have to maintain this weird image for the rest of their lives, or as long as happily ever after. Not happily ever after. My mom says, Tatiana, good movie, terrible finish, but your explanation for why you like it, the ending, has modified my reaction. Well, I'm glad I could be an influencer officially. By the way, speaking of influencing, yeah, Alberta, hello, welcome on Facebook. Alberta is one of my brother's coworkers, so she's complimenting my impression of my brother. Thank you, Alberta. I hope you're well. You know, it's funny. Speaking of being an influencer, I was talking to my buddy Greg Benson. He gave me some pointers on how to do what I'm doing right now across all these platforms, particularly on Twitch. He's a very popular influencer on Twitch. He goes His channel is called Mediocre Films. I suggest that you guys go check it out, subscribe, support his channel, particularly because this Tuesday at 8 p.m. I'm going to be a guest on his show. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. And I hope that he returns being a guest on this show for all, I don't know, 15 of us, 23 of us? I don't know how many of us. We've got quite a few people today, so this is exciting. Tatiana says, I don't care for Affleck at all. So hating him in that movie was easy. Tatiana, how do you feel about Batfleck, though? Gel Gibbers. Does someone have a good oatmeal recipe for me, please? Greetings from the Netherlands. Well, my sister is quite good at making oatmeal cookies with raisins. Oatmeal raisin cookies. So, Gel, I think we can all agree that now's the perfect time to do that. Let's all make oatmeal raisin cookies. I think that's a. I think while we're on fire, let's start baking. What else, guys? John Williams, you might not know, John Williams is a jazz musician. John Williams is a jazz cat. John Williams is one of my favorite film composers. He has created so many memorable soundtracks, so many memorable themes. Let me see if I can play a couple. They're so easy to play. That's the beauty of them. They're very simple. I can't play it either. Thank you. I'm playing Star Wars. Thank you. That's all I'll do. I only do one show a day. It's very difficult. Makes me start to sweat. I don't like to schwitz. But John Williams, one of the most incredible film composers, every Spielberg film pretty much. And the RZA from Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang ain't nothing to F with. Wu-Tang, RZA did the soundtrack for Kills Bills 1 and 2. Very cool. Tatiana says you're very diplomatic, Mom. I would say that that's true. I'd say that's Jaffe Mustafa, welcome to the show today. One of my favorite things to talk about is music. One of my favorite things to do is music, and also to talk about movies. So today's like the perfect show. The perfect time. What are some of your favorite bands or musicians who've done soundtracks? Get this, Queen. You guys remember when Queen did soundtracks? Basically, full albums as soundtracks. Flash Gordon, The Highlander. They kind of turned it into their thing for a while. It was almost as if the 70s was this explosion of Queen creativity, and then the 80s was this them maturing as artists and taking other work and becoming composers for it. Tom Cruise is your favorite for Top Gun N2. Tom Cruise, they better... he's in the trailers for Top Gun 2, so they better keep him for that. They better keep him in that movie. Yeah, that's a nice thing to say, Tatiana, that Batfleck was not as bad as you thought it would be. You know that Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman, right? I hope this isn't news to you, but if it is news to you, Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman, and he's going to be in the next Flash movie. Flashpoint, or whatever it's called. The Flasher. I think it should be called The Flasher. And he's coming back. He's going to be Batman in that. Apparently, the Flash can go between dimensions. And he'll arrive in the Tim Burton universe. I've got to, hang on a topic for at least 30 seconds until YouTube catches up, because I've got 3 platforms running, and the discussion is moving around. Quincy Jones definitely counts. Quincy Jones is an incredible composer. Judy agrees about Batfleck, but not as bad as predicted. Yeah, I think people seem to forget a lot about Batman and Batfleck, and usually when they're cast, as these roles, we go, no, why? This is Batman. Why you gonna put Gigli in Batman for? I don't want Gigli in my Batman. Come on. Jersey Girl, what? Batman? So I think people get upset about that, but they forget. When Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, that was the exact reaction. Do not forget. Write it down. When you write your reaction down, how angry you are about certain things, and then see how you feel again 2 years later when the movie comes out. When Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, people were like, no, 10 things I hate about you. No, Heath Ledger, what? Heath Ledger. And what was the result of that? An Oscar-winning performance and arguably the best Joker ever. So we have to reserve our judgment when we hear the latest role. We have to reserve our judgment and say, all right, maybe not my first thought, maybe not my 12th, but Ben Affleck as Batman did a fine job, I think. I was okay with it. I was a fan. But yeah. So that's why I'm looking forward to Rob Pattinson. I think that he might be good. That's why I'm reserving my judgment. Everybody, that should be a lesson in life. Reserve your judgment upon first impressions, maybe. Maybe give a little wiggle room to understand that things may not be as they appear at first. Tatiana says she did not react that way about Heath Ledger, but you know, that's because I think a lot of people who might have liked Heath Ledger on a ooh, I like the way Heath Ledger look, and I like the way he act. Some people were like that. I think guys were like, ugh, he's just like a heartthrob. He's like Teen Beat. Come on, Heath Ledger. And then he came out and then he did the thing. I think Robert Pattinson will be good because the dude seems troubled most of the time. Who's doing this? Who's doing the music for the new Batman? Does anybody know? I haven't. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to crowdsource the answer. I'm not going to Google it. I've got Google to my left, and I've got you right in front of me, and I would like to ask you, who is going to compose the music for the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson? I'm excited to talk about Ludwig Goranson. See, I memorized his name. Ludwig Goranson. He is an incredible musician. He works with Childish Gambino, and he's worked with Ryan Coogler on all of Ryan Coogler's films because he went to school with Ryan Coogler, and now they're like best buds. Ludwig Goranson is a Swedish dude, and he is very active in popular music and also did all of the score for The Mandalorian. He also did the score for Black Panther. Y'all remember that? The score was dope. That guy is the guy to watch. I think he's the next guy. He's the heir apparent of the go-to guy. He's just going to fill up his slate with all kinds of things to compose for. One of my favorite things about the Mandalorian soundtrack is that it's that sound is a bass recorder. Everybody's got a recorder. I talked about this the other day. Me and my brothers, we all had recorders. You just blow into the thing and it screeches in your ears and it blows your eardrums out and you're like, music. Music. Hey everybody, I would like to remind you to wash your hands and, wear a face covering because they work, number one. Number two, it's about protecting everyone else and not just yourself. Because I'm very worried there are at least 45,000 new cases diagnosed a day from the testing for coronavirus. I would like you to be responsible adults. Wash your hands, practice safe 6. Get it? Safe 6. 6 feet away from each other. Stay 6 feet away from me. Don't come too close. or I'm gonna like do a Jedi mind trick on your face. I'm gonna lift you out of a swamp. I'm gonna put you back in the swamp. If you don't stay 6 feet away, I swear to God, JFC, I swear to God, I'm gonna take my little, I'm gonna take a, I tell you, one day if you don't put, I can only imagine that you don't wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. That's how disgusting you are. That's how disgusted I am if you don't put a face covering on in public. Over there in West Hollywood, this way, to my right, over there in West Hollywood, they're actually starting to incur fines on people who aren't wearing a face covering. So unless you want to pay up to $5,000, I suggest you get on the face mask train. Thank you, Dr. Fauci. It was an important message from Dr. Fauci. Dr. Baby Yoda Fauci. Michael Giancino. Thank you, Jake A, for Googling that for me. I like Michael Giancino, except I don't like him that much. His music for Rogue One, I take issue with his music from Rogue One, but I take issue because ultimately I didn't love the music for Rogue One, but at the same time I understand that Michael Giancino only had about like a month and a half to actually pull that score together, which is insane. He didn't have enough time. So the fact that let me put my glasses on straight. The fact that Michael Giancino only had that such limited time, it's actually quite impressive, his score for Rogue One, but I don't know. I don't love it. It's just kind of there. It's not as iconic as the original Star Wars, but how could it be? However, I think that Ludwig Goranson's composition for Mandalorian is actually pretty damn iconic, but he had more time. He actually got to sit in with it, with the filmmakers while they were making the things and get inspired by what he was seeing. Ludwig Goranson is actually a really intriguing character. He's a Swedish dude. He did the composition for Black Panther, which is that takes place in a fictional country in East Africa called Wakanda Forever, with T'Challa and everything. And what Ludwig did was what musicians love to do, which is to explore other cultures. Ludwig went to Africa and he hung out with some of the greatest musicians in the world in Africa to learn the styles of music that are indigenous to that area so that it could feel real, so that when he was composing as a musician, it could actually have an authenticity to it. So that's really cool. I think that that's neat. And that's the true sign of a musician is, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in society right now about equality not existing, and in American society yet, Saturday is what? Independence Day, but for who? Let's be real. But musicians have a unique quality among us where we don't really give a crap where you're from, what you look like. There's always, musicians have a ... but can you play feeling. We're discriminating, but generally only with how much you are connecting with the music, and how it doesn't matter your skill level. It doesn't matter how many years at Juilliard you did this or whatever. It matters if you are connecting in that moment with the other musicians. This is what musicians care about fundamentally. We don't, and I speak for myself, but I feel like I also speak from an experience that if you're feeling genuine about what you're doing, that's why there are blues musicians from the UK. Because the UK, these kids, some of these white kids grew up in conditions, Eric Clapton, whomever, they grew up in conditions where they could connect with the blues and recreate the blues for themselves as they grew older. And it had nothing to do with being black or white. Just ask Michael Jackson. And they were able to convey and move that story forward. The blues history, the rock and roll history, jazz musicians like John Williams, for Jesus' sake. That dude can channel all types of sounds. Modern classical musicians for today, people who compose modern classical music, are invoking the style from hundreds of years ago that they didn't have the experience to, or they weren't living in that time, but they can genuinely create a modern classical style. So musicians are the ultimate equalizer. Even my favorite movie by Steven Spielberg, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, John Williams composed a soundtrack to that. There it is. All right, thank you. Took me about half the show to play that, but he actually created that melody line as a call. In music, there's a call. You can set up a phrase and then resolve it. So that's a call, and it's a deliberate sort of suspended chord, a suspended arpeggio, if you will, that is waiting to be resolved. So it's really cool in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind that the universal language is music, and John Williams deliberately created a melodic call that is to be answered. And in the climax of that film, what's going on? A jam session between humans and the aliens speaking through the language of music. And if it doesn't get any cooler than that, it just doesn't get any cooler than that, and as far as I'm concerned. Music is the universal language, I think, is the fundamental idea for today's show. And if you're on a platform right now, just any platform, just tap the screen. Or if you're watching this show in your mind psychically, just like the video. I keep forgetting to do all of the things that I should do. I just get too excited to talk about stuff with you guys that I forget to remind you that it helps if you like the video, if you tap the screen and put like hearts up on the screen. That helps. Do those things. Share the videos. Subscribe. Do all of those things, please. It helps. Giacchino had limited time for Rogue One, so I got a little disappointed by that. I think, though, he's on his way to greatness. I don't think he's great yet. He does a lot of cool musical, flashy things, but I don't know if he's got any like very memorable pieces like, say, John Williams or Alan Silvestri or Hans Zimmer. Alan Silvestri did the soundtrack for Back to the Future, for Forrest Gump, my mom's favorite movie. Just kidding. I'm just going to call out my mom on the movies that she doesn't like that I like. To this day, Forrest Gump really isn't about anything. Anyway, David Lynch. You guys ever watch Eraserhead? Anybody ever watch Eraserhead? David Lynch did that song. I can't play the song for you because I'll get a copyright strike, but it was about in heaven, everything is fine. In heaven, everything is fine. That song was written by David Lynch, and it's in the movie, and it's sung by a woman who's got gigantic cheeks, and she's stomping on like explodable homunculi. It's gross, but it's also memorable. Jaffe Mustafa remembers that. You know why I bring that up as one of the composers who rock? Because David Lynch has like this really cool relationship with Nine Inch Nails. I think Mulholland Drive was Nine Inch Nails' first soundtrack that they took songs from Nine Inch Nails and kind of put them underneath. And then later on, Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails went on to become more of a composer for movies, like for the actual film itself, instead of just making up the soundtrack for one. But David Lynch wrote that song, In Heaven Everything Is Fine, and guess who covered it? The Pixies. There's a version of that song that exists from the Pixies, and it's something, I'll tell you. It's something else. Is it okay not to like Angelo Badalamenti? Angelo Badalamenti. I thought you were going to say Angelo Batman. Badalamenti. What is Angelo Pixies? Yeah, Jeffy Mustafa's on top of this today. It's wonderful. Let's see. JK says he seems similar to J.J. Abrams. Could be great if there was more of a focus. The dude does way too much. Yeah, I agree with you, J.K. I think you could peel back the layers and simplify what he does. Musically, I know this might get a little lost in the weeds and might get a little technical, but Michael Giacchino, I think he just kind of throws everything in and just goes with it. Maybe there isn't that much refinement, but when you have someone like John Williams has to be inspired by a character to create a melody. So John Williams always goes with the fundamental feeling. There's always a theme for the Force. There's the theme for Luke. There's a theme for Leia. There's the theme for the Empire. Dun, 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 dun. It's distinct. And John Williams is really good at that. Indiana Jones. Indiana, dun, dun, dun. I found that you could sing all of the characters or the titles of the movies with John Williams scores. Superman, dun, 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 dun. You guys know what I'm saying? Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. I don't know, maybe that's just a me thing. You could do it all day. Just pick a John Williams score. The Terminal. I don't know if he did the score for The Terminal. But that would be funny if he did. Curtis Mayfield. Superfly. Good one. Isaac Hayes did the music for Shaft. Doesn't get funkier than that. And it could probably definitely get more Scientological than that, but we'll not get into that. Guys, remember, this Tuesday, I'm going to be on Mediocre Films on Twitch, live streaming, talking about some real things with my friend Greg Benson, who is a popular influencer. I would really like if you subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to my channel on Twitch. I don't even know if it's called a channel. I'm learning about it. I'm getting shown the ropes. We're going to build this up, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a habit for us all, I hope. Hey, Dane, what, Jack City? How y'all doing on Instagram today? Jaffe Mustafa brings up Hook on YouTube. Hook is a... Remember that? Felt good. Just imagine Carl Weathers as Captain Hook. This is Carl Weathers. I cannot stand this young damn Peter Pan. Get out of here, Peter Pan, before I punch you in the face. I will knock you out like I will knock out a 6-foot Russian. I would have preferred Carl Weathers generally in every role throughout history. I think that we should revise history that way. People keep talking about, oh, you're taking these statues down. You're trying to erase our history. Come on now. It's really dumb. If something... We have to realize in America... So here's a tangent. You know, they're ripping down the Confederate flag everywhere and the Confederate statues. As they should. Why would you have the losing team celebrated in such a way? You don't go to... If you go to Germany, it's like banned to show off the swastika. Why would you go to Germany and see would you go to Germany to... We need the statue of Hitler here because it's our history. No. Goebbels. Come on. Goebbels. Gerbils. We need the statue to remember what it was like. No. Get rid of those hurtful things. Celebrate the things that actually show unity. Celebrate the people who actually fought for equality. Martin Luther King Jr., Harriet Tubman. Come on now. Why are you going to show the losing team and say that it's your history? No, you're holding on to something that isn't our values as a society. July 4th, Independence Day, but for who? I contend and I maintain Jake A asks if I'm going to be doing any gaming on Twitch. Yeah, but I still can't figure out how to do interactive thumb wrestling. 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare a thumb war. If you lose, I don't care. I'll pull out your nose hair. And how long do those rhymes go on? I feel like the rhyme is more fun than the actual thumb wrestle. You just keep doing this for like 12 minutes, and then you're like, sneak attack. You know what I'm saying? That's why I wear a jacket, ladies and gentlemen. My favorite part about thumb wrestling is the rhyming. Jake, as soon as if I could play Guitar Hero, if I could play the drums for Guitar Hero on Twitch, I will do that. I'm not very good at the drums. I'm learning. Let's see. Shy mentions Germany is funny. They took the word Asian out of the Crazy Rich Asian movies. So it's just called Crazy Rich. I mean, interestingly enough, that's kind of the movie. It's just about crazy rich people getting along. But that's funny that it's crazy. They took out the word Asians from the title because they're like, we don't want people to know that the people in this movie are Asian. I hope no one finds out that these folks are Asian. But yeah, crazy rich, fine. Totally fine that they're crazy rich. Rock and roll. I'm going to skip that song. I think it's funny that people do that. There's a lot of times that they'll change the title to a movie just because it won't translate. For instance, I remember Tina Fey telling this story on the Conan O'Brien show because remember Charlton Heston, defender of the Second Amendment, the president of the NRA, notoriously demented individual as he got older. Also, get your damn filthy hands off me from Planet of the Apes. Charlton Heston. They don't say, Tina Fey being of Greek ancestry, mention posters because in Greek, if you were to see a poster that said Charlton Heston, they changed his name to Charlton Eastman because Heston in Greek means to poop your pants. So it doesn't translate well. If you were like, I'm Charlton Heston, he's literally like, my name is Chuck Poop Myself. Hi, I'm Chuck Poop Your Pants. Doesn't work. Aristotle, though, translates perfectly. I saw the censored version of the CRA in the theaters. No kissing. There's no kiss. Yeah, the crazy rich Asian folks don't kiss. It's not allowed. Celebrate those whom lives spent for time away for their loved ones to die for the country, period. Yes. Okay, well, there you go. Hey, Tony Lynn, how are you? Say hi to David. If David's watching, hi to you both. Today we're talking about film composers, and a few years ago, this is very exciting. Every year at the Hollywood Bowl, John Williams does a concert. And it's really fun because I know that David would go every year when he moved here, David and Tony Lynn and Emrys. They would go and check it out. And one year we all got to hang out in a booth. We sneakily, here's the fun thing about the Hollywood Bowl. People get season tickets in the boxes. So there's these little box seats that are really excellent seats. And a lot of times people just don't go to every season show at the Hollywood Bowl. So sneakily, usually the first half of the John Williams concert is another composer. I forget his name. And if you know it, let me know. Will show other film scores throughout history and their importance and their meaning and how they came upon them. And then the second half there's an intermission, and then the second half is John Williams. And during the intermission, I remember David and I were like trying to coordinate finding an empty box, and we found one perfectly smack dab in the middle, right past the orchestra section. And that night, it was magical. It was the ET score was being played that time. Actually, that was the last time I saw John Williams, about a year and a half. Might have been last year. And they did the last 25 minutes of the E.T. movie with the bicycle racing and the across the moon and all the fun stuff and the Reese's Pieces and the phone home and the I'll be right here. I'll tell you, that movie moves me. But if you ever get the chance to see John Williams, I highly recommend it. He's only about 116 years old, so he's got plenty of time, and you've got plenty of time. Shy asks, when you play the drums on Guitar Hero, you're learning to play them for reals? Because I played the toy guitar, and that is no real-life guitar. Oh, it is definitely not a real-life guitar. Oh, I'm sorry, Tony, Lynn, and David. I retract my previous statement. There is no possible way to get a secret little booth at the Hollywood Bowl. If you want that, you'll have to keep dreaming. Yes, the E.T. one was the score for that movie is magical. One of the things I love about John Williams is he doesn't create just a beautiful, memorable theme. He creates multiple beautiful, memorable themes woven in and out of every one of his scores. And E.T. always has like that first bit that you all know, and then that very beautiful rambling piano part, the dun 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 dun. That's my beautiful singing voice. Thank you. But John Williams has this way of creating movements within his work which are beautiful, very beautiful. And Shai, to answer your question, whether or not you are actually learning to play the drums on Guitar Hero, it depends on how well you can synchronize your TV screen to the actual click of the game. Because if you are dealing with the latency issues on there, meaning if you're hitting the drum at a different time when the little dot lines up with the thing and you hit and it blows up, if you aren't playing that, if you aren't dealing with the latency, you have to go into your settings and line up the latency and make sure that it's actually registering at the exact same time you're hitting that drum pad. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be getting used to playing with what you're seeing and not with what you're hearing, if you understand what I mean by that. So music is all about listening and feeling. So if you're listening and feeling to what you're playing, then you're in it. But the problem I have with the Guitar Hero drums specifically is that it doesn't really come lined up perfectly. So you have to go into the settings and recalibrate the system so that it actually reacts to the perfect timing that you're playing in. And then you will actually be learning good rhythm. So yes and no is the answer to that question. If you can line it up perfectly to the click in the game, then you are getting a valuable rhythm training, I would say. That would be my answer to that. E.T. Yeah, and we saw E.T. together. I think David and Tony Lynn might be referring to when David and I went and saw E.T. at the ArcLight. We all did. We also saw we saw many movies together, but two grown men crying, enjoying the beauty of cinema and the beautiful moment. Oh, it's getting me choked up just thinking of E.T. and Elliot and their friendship, and then their inevitable having to separate. It's very sad. Very beautiful movie. Movies like E.T. make me think of how beautiful cinema can be. How music and the images that are presented on the screen in the right sequence can just draw so much real emotion out of us and make us present and make us really feel like we're inside of that world on the screen. And it's a great escape, and it's a great way to idealize. Yeah, we are real men. Yes, David and I are real men because we are in touch with what we're feeling, and that's important. But it's really cool to see on the screen an idealized version of reality, because it's something that we can always trend toward in real life. We can always trend toward something like that. We can imagine, if we can imagine a world like that, then surely we can trend toward it. We can move toward it. And I hope we can all do that these days. It's getting very difficult. You know, there's a lot of social unrest. Everybody's feeling lots of feelings. We're all over the map. I might talk about this on Tuesday with Greg, David. We have a mutual friend in common, Greg Benson. I mentioned him at the top of the show, in the middle, and now I'm getting better at promoting. Going to be on Mediocre Films Twitch on Tuesday night at 8, so everybody tune in. We're going to have a fun time. We might even be joined by Dr. Baby Yoda Fauci, just to remind everybody to get along, be kind, be considerate to your fellow human beings, and whatever it is I am, there's no name for my species, really. I don't even know where I'm from. I'm just a baby that looks like Yoda. You can call me Baby Yoda if you want, but I'm actually a doctor. I went through many years of galactic medical school to become a doctor. So, wear your mask, stay at least 6 parsecs apart, and, wash your damn hands. Thank you, Dr. Baby Yoda. Thank you very much. I'm a fan. I agree with him, really. I think he's got a point. But, guys on Instagram, I appreciate you joining me every day at noon. We talk about fun stuff. We talk about movies. And we talk about things that are real, like our feelings. We can share those. We can talk about just how to be considerate to one another. I think that's important to proliferate. I think a lot of people get mad and angry and they just want to punch each other in the nose. And I think that's maybe not the best way to resolve things. Say hi to E for me. Whenever you could drop in, give me a call. We'll just talk on the air. It'll be fun. Except I'm using my phone right now. So actually hold off on that. We'll figure that out later. But thank you so much for joining me on Instagram. Got about 2 minutes left. And film composers. To wrap it up, we've had so many great film composers. One of my favorites being Jonny Greenwood as of late, doing the soundtrack for The Phantom Thread and pretty much all of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies. Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross from Nine Inch Nails have been doing some amazing work. Ludwig Goranson, the RZA, all incredible soundtrack artists, incredible composers, if you will. Sadly, Curtis Mayfield and Isaac Hayes are no longer with us to grace us with their funky melodies and rhythms. But we've got Thom Yorke. We still got Thom Yorke, don't we? He did the soundtrack for Suspiria, which is pretty good. Pretty good. His first time around, he said he consulted a lot with his bandmate Jonny Greenwood. Thom Yorke and Jonny Greenwood are in the band Radiohead, which to some sounds like a very whiny band, but I like them a lot. And now I shall leave you, the Rockbiter. I'll leave you with this. These look like very difficult times, don't they? But we can do this together. Let's be kind to one another. Go to movies. Eat limestone. And don't be a dick. And that's my message to everybody out there. That's coming straight from the Rockbiter himself. You guys are fantastic on Instagram. I will see you tomorrow. What we'll talk about. Oh, Instagram always likes to die right before. Right as the broadcast is ending, it's like, oops. Instagram died. Dr. Baby Yoda Fauci is becoming less and less creepy. I should hope so. We should all get past how Dr. Baby Yoda Fauci looks, and realize that he is a sage, wise old man, but also a baby, but also an alien, but also creepy. Now we're gonna wind down the show. Y'all are fantastic. Seriously, I enjoy talking to you guys every day. I look forward to this hour that we spend together each day. I look forward to Rockbiter being a guest host. I need to figure out, maybe I'll make a Rockbiter costume and just do the whole show as the Rockbiter. I drive a gigantic tricycle. I'm a man. I drive a gigantic tricycle. He drives a tricycle. Like a real man, like a real rock. We should have the Rock as the Rockbiter. If you smell what the Rock is cooking. The Rockbiter could be like, what do you think about the rocks? I don't care what you think. Yeah. Rockbiter would be a great guest, I think. I think you're right about that, Angie. I was very caffeinated today. I'm glad about it. I'm very happy about it. I think the caffeine did its job. I've got sweaty armpits now. Y'all are beautiful and fantastic, and I'm excited to go to sleep now for 23 hours. I think we covered it. Is there anything else that we didn't hit upon today? They take a lot of things out of the titles of these movies when they translate them to different. Let's go out on this. We're gonna go look at some movie posters that are translated poorly translated movie titles. Let's do this. Oh yeah, this was my favorite. We'll get to my favorite. I'll do like the top 5. Oh man, my favorite is China will often, because of the cultural standards that they have, China often really tries to eliminate certain words from the vocabulary. For instance, the Full Monty. I don't know if you remember the Full Monty, but it was about a bunch of Scottish blokes who get naked on stage. In China, they called it 6 Naked Pigs. Die Hard, for instance. Die Hard was called Die Hard with a Vengeance, actually. Die Hard with a Vengeance being the third one, I think. That one was called Die Hard Mega Hard. Interesting. Oh, here's a fun one. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. If you leave me, I delete you. Italy. Italy is like, if you leave me, I delete you. I'ma delete you. How much for this movie? I'ma delete you. Airplane, the movie. The Unbelievable Trip in a Wacky Aeroplane. Germany. Boogie Nights. His powerful device makes him famous. Ooh. I think that this should be the name of this show. His powerful device makes him famous. We'll work on that. Hot Shots. Warm Shots. Warm Shots is... that's the Czech Republic changed the title of the movie Hot Shots to Warm Shots. And that's worse. That is a lot worse. The Naked Gun. The Gun Died Laughing. Starring O.J. Simpson. That was Israel. I'm Drunk and You're a Prostitute. Japan. Oh, sorry. I didn't name the title of the movie. You have to guess the title of the movie. Okay, in Japan, this movie was called I'm Drunk and You're a Prostitute. It's pretty descriptive of the actual plot of that movie. Any takers on that one? Here's another one. The Whole of John Malkovich. Do you guys know that one? That was being John Malkovich. Anyway, my favorite one of all time. Here it is. It was for the Lady Ghostbusters movie that came out about 4 or 5 years ago. It was called Super Power Dare Die Team. And you guys are my Super Power Dare Die team. A Pretty Woman. The one that I mentioned right before we go, that was not Pretty Woman. I'll say the title again. I'm Drunk and You're a Prostitute. I'm drunk and you're a prostitute. That's not a very nice thing to say. It's an Oscar-winning performance for Nicolas Cage. I'll give you that hint. And if you get that, leave it in the comments below. I think you guys are fabulous. I think you guys are wonderful, and I like to see you guys getting along and becoming friends. And this is a safe place to all hang out. If you're on the platforms, like the videos, do the things. Make sure that you support your local rock biters. I'm a rock biter. And leaving Las Vegas, you're all right, Jaffe Mustafa, and you win the A for the day. You win the AFT for the day. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Y'all are phenomenal human beings, and I hope to see you tomorrow at this time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye, guys.